and welcome back to the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It's so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? What's going on? When does this come out? We're getting ahead.
We're back from Cannes.
We're
by the
back
time
from
this comes
Cannes.
out. Yeah, we're back. Which it's Cannes. I've recently we've solidified it is Cannes.
Cannes Lions.
Like a can.
Yes.
Tomato
Tomato
sauce,
can.
whatever.
Soda can.
Yeah.
Can.
Can. So it's Cannes. We're going. We're
Yeah,
back.
but we'll
I'm
be
sure
back
we had a great time.
bronzed and better than all of you.
Yes.
By this point. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to go. We were just talking about it. I was like, my whole thing leading up to it was like, hey, maybe I'll just like not drink, get healthy, feel good. I'll walk
How'd
on
that
the
go?
planet. Not well.
Well, you said you had a friend in town last night.
I had a buddy from high school was in town for work. I don't know if you
Are you
get
close
this.
to your high school friends?
I've got a crew. You know, my high school, I like keep in touch with a lot of people more than I would have ever expected.
Okay.
More than I sought out to. I don't know. It just kind of worked out that way. Like when I moved back to the city, there was like a bigger group of people from Needham High that like all came back together a little bit. And then there's people I've kept in touch with. And like then people get married and they go off into their separate. There's people that listen to this podcast, friends of mine that like from high school that like tune in every week.
Well, I just asked you about the state of your friendship. So I hopefully they'll pleased with that answer.
Right. I think I have a very open door policy as being my friend.
Okay.
Do you have that, like, where there's some people, it's like, I got to keep up with this person, or some people, you know, you don't have to, but you know you're always welcome?
Right.
I think that's
I'm of that mentality too.
Right.
Like I don't care that you have. If we haven't spoken in 2 months and then I see you, I don't act like it's weird. Like, I think it's normal.
I think
some
that person,
people get weird about that though.
That person, if they're listening, go fuck yourself. Okay, everyone's got shit to do. Everyone's got lives. If they wanted to reach out to you, they would get in touch with you.
I think women are a lot more like that too.
Yeah, and again, that's why women have friendships that are like deeper, like more like depthy. You know, if you just use the same word twice, like they like you can feel that from women, and that's why like you know,
more intimate.
dads have no friends,
More intimate friendships,
right?
Maybe,
I think so. You guys
Right.
open up to each other more, but like my buddies and I don't know. Anyone could text me, and I'm like, hey. Good to hear from you. What's happening? Like I caught up with a friend from college. I hadn't talked to him in like 3 years. We had a half-hour conversation where he literally just told me everything horrible that was going on in his life. Like,
and you hadn't spoken to him in 3 years?
We laughed so much. I made
That's
fun of
good.
him, and he was going through some shit. Like, to be honest, he was going through it, and we had such a good. I was laughing the whole just a half hour of laughing at how shitty his life was going.
He was having a horrible time, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Right. But it was like, it was nice. You know, you could tell this was a little bit therapeutic. I don't think I was like being mean to him.
Right.
Obviously, I felt the vibe, you know.
Well, it must be interesting for you because I feel like you were always doing comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you weren't like when people back, you know, I would say in your 20s, your life revolves around your friends.
Right.
Where you're going and what you're doing, but it seems like you were working then, so it almost feels like you're in a better state now when everyone's like not hanging out anymore.
Well, I have time and energy and the ability to like do things now. Like, yeah, like I used to describe it as I was going to open mics and my friends were getting married.
Right.
And like on a Saturday night, I would
go
do
to the
open
bars?
mics, or they were going to the bars, or they were doing, you know, we're doing a daytime hang. Can you come? And I'd be like, And I would I would try. I would be at some of these things, but like I was kind of doing my own thing.
Right.
And still, you know, the lifestyle I lead. Even last night, my friend from high school. He's got kids. He's married. He comes in for a work thing. He's like, I'm done with it at 10. Are you doing anything? And it's Tuesday night. Right.
Wow.
So for him, 10 o'clock dinner ends. Like it's usually like
bedtime.
Like what? Like
that's late.
It's late for anyone, but for me, New York City Tuesday night, I was like, well, I have an 11 o'clock show.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's like,
he came?
I'm coming.
Yeah.
And so that's like a weird.
There's no man who acts weirder than a man who is like away from his wife and children for like a night, overnight.
It's hilarious to watch. It is like you're taking care of a toddler of your own.
Right.
Because he's like so not used to. I don't think it's normal for anyone to be out at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. But that is my life.
Right.
Like I had 2 shows. I had a 9:55 and a 10:55 spot. The shows start at 9 and 10. when I go on stage on a Tuesday night, I do say to the people, I'm like, I say the same thing every time. I'm like, Tuesday night, look at you.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you people? And some of them are like, what? You know, and some of them are like, yeah, it's weird that we're out, you know? And like, so like he came to the show and he's like, you know, he's taking out his phone and taking pictures. The flash is going off. And, you know, the ringer's still on. I'm like, we're at the fucking cellar, you know, like get it together, you know? And he's like, we went out after and just caught up. And I think like, yeah, the married man, there's a piece of me that thinks married men think it's like you either settle down and get married and have kids and you're a good dad, or you're a womanizing monster. Like it's kind of
what's the other option?
There's no other. It gave me because he'll be like, "What's going on?"
How would you describe yourself? Somewhere between those two.
Yeah, somewhere on the spectrum between good guy and womanizing monster.
I mean, you're somewhere between married man with a couple kids and womanizing monster.
Somewhere
right?
on there.
Yeah.
Right, and I think I think this like freedom, the idea of freedom.
Right.
Do anything whenever, wherever, no one to check in with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I have to like the amount that people with young kids love being away from them is a little bit alarming.
All of it is alarming. Yeah, the things you hear, the gossip in towns, the way people talk about their spouses or other couples.
Yeah, it's a whole other.
It's scary
world.
as fuck. Yeah. I mean, I think I did somewhat like.
Well, it's like you're going back to where you came from. You're going back to like the high school, like the high school vibe almost of like back in your town with like limited amount of people.
Right, and that couple's doing this and this couple's doing that, and you kind of and you've heard, I hear of that, like people reverting to high school type of drama stuff when they move back to the suburbs. Or
you can kind of see, even like, I mean, I haven't been there that long. You can kind of see like little
clusters of it.
Yeah.
And kids don't make it easier because it's like a version of you out there living, and you kill for you and your spawn. So if they're ever like put in a position of like another kid is out doing that, all your insecurities are played out through another.
Right. You're just redoing your own childhood.
I mean, a lot of that scares me of like the next step in life that you go, I can just sit here chilling with never have to deal with that.
Also, if you raise your kids in the city, I think it's a little different.
Way easier. Socially.
Easier and harder. Yeah.
Right. Costs more money, but socially, the best part about a city is there's always someone richer, always someone better looking, and you don't even know who they are. You know they're out there. In the small town, that's the rich area, that's the not so rich area, that's the private school kid, that's the public school kid. Or even if you see
that in like I feel like there was a huge difference between people who went to like a college with a campus. Mm-hmm. If you went to like NYU, you've essentially never had to do that either because like there's like more anonymity.
Right. You can just disappear. You could be 18 at a club with a bunch of 27-year-olds forever.
Right.
You know, like that's your whole college experience kind of.
Yeah, you're like out of the bubble.
I mean, I got a text the other day, hey man, do you remember this person? And I was like, yeah, like why would I forget this person? And then like, and then he's like, and I literally looked at like the person I was with and I go, $10 says they're cheating on their husband.
And?
Cheating.
Wow.
This is the report I'm getting. And they come, I think there's, well, here's the thing also. When you do weird things, when you're like I'm a lightning rod for weird stories because they know I don't have anyone to tell.
You're not living in the town where you're going to, right. Yeah.
So
but
I
you'd
get
also know of the
know
person.
The characters and the players.
Right.
So people generally, like if I go to
some good gossip.
I get it all.
I love
and I do gossip. Weird, and I do a weird thing. So they're like, this weirdo goes on stage and says stupid shit all the time. I can tell him. Who is he to judge?
And he's not going to tell anyone.
Right. And so like,
I know.
If I go to a party in the suburbs, every weirdo, straight to me.
Great.
Every
I'll remember
story.
That the next party I throw.
Let me. You will get whatever info you need.
I feel like you
I'm
got
a
that
lightning rod.
I feel like you got that at my wedding.
Absolutely. Every. There's a very specific story that goes with that.
Yeah.
At your wedding, I had people just confide in. I think it's the nature, and a lot of comedians say this. So like the nature of like I say things out loud that maybe people don't say.
Right.
So I can't. I would.
You're
never
the person.
judge.
You're the outlet for them to also like. Again, they also know you're not like super uptight about that stuff. Like, don't mention.
My opinions are known.
Don't mention this kind of thing. Right.
Right.
Like,
There's no.
It's not
sacred,
like that.
cows.
But I also know you wanted to talk about something else. Your underwear.
Oh.
That was not a good transition. That was not a good transition.
I almost forgot. I purchased some underwear. Listen, I've been in the underwear game for a lot of years.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we started the show. I was saying I haven't bought underwear in years because as a podcast host,
you just get sent
a lot of underwear.
Right.
Yes.
I'm a little bit like so MeUndies, they've sponsored J Train for years. I think they've sponsored this podcast. I love MeUndies. They're a specific price point, I would say. If you go into the high end,
I don't even know how much underwear costs because I haven't bought it in so long. You tell me a pair of underwear is $100.
Right. This is our let them eat cake moment. If you go above MeUndies as a price point, now you're in like the Lululemon game. Those are like
those are pricey.
Lululemon I wear off and on with MeUndies is where I'm at. I got Skims advertisements, and I'm like, let me give Kim K a shot. I have to say, I put them on.
It worked on you. Wow.
I dare I say I felt sexy.
Wow.
Something Kim has made. It seems as though
Skims is a sponsor of the show, but this segment is not. This is not sponsored.
This is a true. I'm wearing them now.
This is a Plug City authentic endorsement.
This is authentic. Yeah. They're all authentic. Yeah. I've never done an ad where I've never said why I would buy it.
But this is not unpaid.
I got the 3-inch inseam boxer briefs. I put them on. I was like, do I have a big penis?
Kim's not fucking around.
Kim knows what and I think, because I think of, like, I hear from women more than I think. I'm in tune with the Betches universe, so to speak.
You have a large female audience.
So I hear from a lot of women. I think more than most. So the thing about Skims is you hear from women, like, it makes my body feel good.
Right.
And Kim, she must have, like, known, I need to cut these for a 2024 body. Like, we're not 1990s bodies anymore. We have changed. Look, go to a castle.
That's sort of her whole campaign is like all sorts of bodies, I think.
Right. Well, I did make fun of it way back when they came out with their first men's campaign. It was all these hard bodies. And I'm like, Kim, weren't you like the body inclusive? And then I know Savage Fenty, which Candace is a fan of, they do more men's body wear that's a little for us curvies.
Right. Have you tried a side by side?
Not to what? A penis comparison?
No, the underwear of both.
No, I literally just put them on. I just got them in the mail today, so I like put them on. I was like, I want to see.
You're wearing them right now.
Wearing them right now. I gotta say, but I was just like it was so interesting to me, like the business concept of like, I'm gonna cut them in a way, and because I just remember women being like how good they feel wearing her things. It's like, good for Kim.
I have to say, as someone, I wouldn't be in like necessarily the camp of like Kim Kardashian super fan.
Okay, that's
personally.
okay. Yeah, I don't think you have to be to give credit.
But I tried this stuff, and I totally agreed with you. Like, this is, I'm wearing the shirt right now.
Yeah,
I happen to be wearing the shirt. It's my favorite T-shirt. It's great. And I'm wearing the underwear, and I only have one pair. They've only sent me one pair.
Okay,
but
waiting on more.
I'm just saying, it is the most comfortable underwear that I own.
It's like,
it's great.
And you go, well, how did this person know? Who did she get hooked in with? It was obviously a company venture, like a thought out thing for it to be that. Like, and again, bodies evolve. Go to a castle in Europe. All the doorways are shorter because we were littler.
We were smaller. Look at us now.
Kim made a new
You're
doorway.
We have bigger penises now.
That we all got big cocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that. Thank you.
Well,
what else is going on? What are we doing today? Should we get into it?
Should we jump right in?
We should jump right in. Why not? 14-minute good little intro.
Impressive. I think we could do it.
I think we're good to go. I'm on the road. If you want to see a fun show, I've already started new material. I've moved on from the old set. I'm fucking around a little bit more. Mm-hmm. The old set I'm looking to tape. We're going to tape it. We're going to figure it out. But like now I'm kind of on this new thing. I got some new stuff.
New stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, probably 10 minutes.
Great.
Which is a lot of minutes for me. Yeah.
What's the topic?
I'm going to Europe alone. I'm now going through when I went to.
So this is really a research trip for you that we're about to
do. A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The idea of vacationing alone and being single, and I think is on my mind.
Okay.
The idea of like, again, like just the way, I don't know. I want to do, so the set that I've been doing on the road that I'll continue to do is a 1 hour story about going to the beach with my parents. I like the idea of having one thread. That felt good to me. So I'm looking for the next thread. So that might be that might be it.
Great. Well, guys, come out and see him. It's going to be great. Can't wait to hear Dr. Naomi's review of your
Can't wait.
Your show this weekend.
Dr. Naomi texted me that she's excited for the shows and asked if I had heard her talk about the ticket stuff on oversharing.
Wow.
And
what'd you say?
She wrote a funny text to me. And I have her on my phone as Dr. Naomi.
That's how I talk about her too. No.
Can we say hi after? I said, of course, you guys have backstage tickets for after. She wrote back, sweet. Can't wait. So I wrote, can't wait. She wrote, my brother John said you were awesome, so we're looking forward to it. It's like, we'll see. I'm being hard.
I think that you literally have never met a less passive aggressive person than.
Yeah, she's
Dr.
pretty
Naomi.
upfront.
Yeah, she's very to the point, but also actually happy and enthusiastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to have the whole family there. All 18 tickets, free of charge.
Exactly. We're excited to come together and discuss, your show.
Yeah,
something else to talk about besides our dysfunctional family.
So I'm on the road. Come. I'm going to be in West Hampton. I'm really doing some. Oh, and this comes out. Oh, this weekend I'm in Nashville, Nashy-town. Love Nashville.
Ooh.
So in Nashville, I'll probably do some of the new stuff because a year. It's like less than a year since I've been there.
Okay.
So I've kind of
tell
done.
You to mix it up.
They don't say it. I'd feel bad if someone's looking at me like mouthing the words to the joke.
Well,
I know
you'd
no
have
one
to
remembers.
be a super fan,
right?
To
like remember,
I guess, or like be back again. I guess you would come back again. I don't know. Would you see the same? Would you go to like the same concert twice in?
Yeah,
a year, maybe.
Belle just nodded along.
Yeah.
She goes to John Mayer every 10 minutes.
Yeah, she just went to go.
She'll go to any
Even
John
though,
Mayer.
And she hates him.
Hates him?
Because of what he did to Jessica Simpson.
Right. Hates him so much, she'll buy tickets to all his shows.
Yeah, that's the best way.
This is again, we have to go, that conversation about like all these men and how horrible they were, that songs were written about them, and then they're just like out there making billions of dollars. Like, I mean, guess you just ignore it.
The joke's on us.
Well, maybe I should just like dump someone horrifically.
Yeah.
So that I get something written about it, so that I can be successful.
They have to be famous.
Right.
You have to date someone famous and then dump them horrifically.
I could, but it's just like I put a lot of care into like how I am with people I would date, and I can't believe that they acted so wildly.
Right. It makes you. I mean, I think the John Mayer one.
Am I a gentleman, or am I? I'm not enough of a womanizing monster.
That's what people say about you. He's too nice.
Too nice
to women. Yes, loves women too much.
I'm a hero.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay. I will read the first email.
What are we talking about today?
Okay. Hey, Jared and Jordana.
My husband bought Skims. His cock is too big now. Oh, no, that's...
That was not the email. Big fan of the show.
They better send me some shit.
I mean,
every man is running to get these Skims.
I need more underwear, too.
I can't even sit in this chair.
Do they sell penile enhancements?
I guess so. I mean, I was wearing them going, what is this? What's happened to me? Like,
wow.
It
That's
just
an
fit my
endorsement
body.
if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
You better get Jared on the billboard.
I'm going to have to lose some weight.
I've 27, been dating my girlfriend, also 27, for 2 years. Within the last year, I've struggled to maintain any sort of intimacy with her. I don't just mean sex, cuddling, any kiss that's more than a peck, nothing. This was not what things were like during the first year of our relationship. She's had some body image issues, which may be contributing, but my attempts to hype her up or to set up some intimacy with a special night or date have all been in vain. When I've tried to respectfully broach the subject, she gets defensive, but has also admitted that intimacy just isn't her thing, and that she was just going along with it the first few months of our relationship. I really like her, and I think we make a good match, but this feels like a friendship at this point. She's been pushing us to move in together, but I'm scared to take the next step when we've become so platonic. Any advice you have would be greatly appreciated. Sincerely, friend-zoned after 2 years.
I love this email.
Good email.
Good email.
Respectful.
Yeah, this guy's got an issue.
Yeah.
A real issue.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
To me, this is not a good sign. I would say.
Yeah. We're not optimistic about your relationship, sir.
I mean,
well, why? First of all, I don't believe that she's that good an actress that year one he felt comfortable, year two he feels uncomfortable.
Well, first few months he felt comfortable,
and her claim is that she was just going along.
Right.
Like I feel like
that I believe.
You believe that? So I guess this is
I think it's possible.
When I hear this, to me, if I was him, I'm ending this.
Yeah.
I
would do that as well.
Right. Yeah. Plain and simple.
And I would say that even if the situation was reversed as well. Yeah.
Anyone, male, female, whatever you would identify as, I would go, I'm not getting what I'm needing from this relationship.
And you're trying to. It's I'm trying. Put in a lot of effort.
I've tried. You've told me that this is who you are. We are not a match. That's pretty simple for us to say. I'm sure very difficult for him. To go back, though, the idea of what, from a male side, this is I see this as does she just want to be in a relationship?
I've thought about that. As a possibility. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why be this different person to get it in and then go, well, here I am now.
Right.
Let's move in.
Well, I think it's interesting because
27 too.
It's sort of like the classic trope of men marry women hoping they don't change, and women marry men trying to change them. I do feel like in this case, maybe she was also acting a certain way to get the relationship, or more down for whatever, as most people are in the beginning of a relationship. Especially if you like the person, you want to be in a relationship, you're maybe less of the bad things about I don't want to say this is bad, but less of the things that the other person wouldn't desire about yourself. You sort of tone all that down. And then the longer you're with someone, the more you are who you are.
Right.
So I do think it's possible that she's not a very sexual person and that she did want to be in a relationship and she did like him. So she was kind of doing that at first, but you can't pretend forever.
Right. No, I'm not saying she should. I'd rather someone just be everything they are right away.
Of course. And I think men maybe are more like that a lot of the time.
When you see a guy's apartment, you're like, how could he live like that's him?
Right.
Nothing's been done for you.
Yeah.
There's something nice about that.
But we're also kind of well, I can work with that.
Right. I can make this bedroom my bedroom.
When I saw Mike's apartment when we first started dating, I wasn't I love it just as it is, never change. I saw the apartment and I was okay, a
lot of gnomes.
This guy, we can. I need to do a little work, but this is okay.
Right. And I guess, but to me, you never attributed that to his personality, red flag. You weren't oh, he has garden gnomes in his apartment. That makes him a weirdo. You're I like this person who happens to have garden gnomes that I'm sure we can get rid of.
Right.
To the listeners who are new here, Mike had these gnomes all around the apartment.
These gnomes, they had University of Miami specific gnomes from his college days, all on his balcony and around his apartment. And I got rid of those.
Well, I don't think the same is given back. If someone told me something about themselves and was honest and intimate and vulnerable with me, I think there's this fear that a guy would go, has issues with her mom, get the fuck out. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think that's ever how I thought.
Ever?
I think it would be combined with the whole breadth of the person, but at least I was getting to know them.
Right. So you're saying she should have been more upfront about if this is who she is.
Right. I think that, I'm not saying, it feels a little bait and switchy, but I would also say I think this happens with a lot of women that I've encountered where it's you're pressing for more information. Mm-hmm. You're pressing for give me the dirt, be the most disgusting version of yourself so I can be disgusting with you. And you're sometimes not getting it back. And you're do I even know this person?
Right.
Why would I care enough to go to the next level with this person that I have a surface level
right.
amount of not information, but like meshing with.
It's interesting because I've had a situation where I was dumped for that very reason.
Mm-hmm.
In a 3-month situation from like I don't know, it was probably like 24, 25.
Right.
And I remember the guy being like, I don't feel like I'm like intimately really getting to know you. And I don't think I understood what that even meant at the time.
I wouldn't either, but I wouldn't even know how to say those words at that
like a
time.
cold bitch. I don't really understand this.
Right.
But now I look back and I think like the way that you're describing that is that's sort of what he meant is like, I don't really know who you are. And I don't really feel like, and I wanted to be in a relationship. And he was like, I don't really like feel like I can get there because I'm not really like getting that from you.
Right. And we get a lot of feedback from women specifically of like, oh, everyone's so disposable. It's like,
right.
Well, if they're all, if I'm doing the same bits with the same women,
yeah,
third date bits, as I'll call them now, with the same, of course there's disposability because I don't really feel entrenched in this in a different way than maybe I was with someone else.
Well, I'll give you the woman's point of view,
please.
I think, and at least from my own particular experience, what I remember kind of thinking at the time was kind of like, once I feel safe in this, like once you commit and I feel like I feel more safe that you're not going to go anywhere, then I can be who I really am with you.
Right.
Then I can tell you like the darker parts of myself or the less perfect, shiny parts of myself.
And that is fair. That's not like, this isn't a right or wrong thing. It's more just like, yeah, like I guess I wouldn't want to.
But it's also like, I understand it's like the chicken or the egg.
Right.
Like I can understand why someone would be like, well, I don't want to tell you I'm your boyfriend. I'm not going anywhere before I know who you are.
What are these dark secrets?
But you being like, well, I don't want to like open my heart to you and like feel like I've really been vulnerable with you if you're going to hear that. And then 2 weeks later you're out.
Right.
So I think that I do understand the other side of it. I think it's the kind of thing that you get older and you realize like you just kind of have to open yourself up to getting more hurt in that way, or else you're not going to find anyone. Not that you should just be like, what do they call it in Sex and the City? Emotionally slutty. I think it's
is that a thing in that?
There's like I think there's a in a later season with like Carrie and Berger or something where she's like she starts talking about her exes and like what happened and like how it went down like too early, and then she's like, did I scare him?
Right.
And she calls it like emotionally slutty.
Yeah, I think more people would. I don't know. I think it's like, it does seem counterintuitive, but I think it would help to be a little emotionally slutty. I think that. But
do you want to tell everyone like the dark parts
not
of
everyone,
yourself?
But but I want someone to like. I want to feel like someone's opening up to me that I can open up to them.
Right. Well, it's the thing you learn, I think, and you're right, is like the older you get, is you kind of have to do that in order to like even decide if you want to be with, like, see what their capacity for that even is before you can decide that's something you want to be involved with.
I remember opening up to someone, this was a couple years ago, and like I think we were like in a bar, and I did I tell it already?
I don't know if you told it to me on air or not, but I think where you said like you said like, well, what's your biggest fear?
She asked me something. It was like I was really open.
Yeah.
She asked me like fears came up. Yeah, it was something like that, and I was like, maybe that, in doing what I'm doing now, that started as like a fun and selfish thing, and now it has to be for a lifetime. And what if I never, make it and feel fulfilled by this career?
Right, you're sharing your deepest
giving my
fears,
whole like putting it out there. And she was like, and I was like, how about you? I think she said same.
Stop.
It was like something like that.
Did she elaborate?
I was like,
I also feel like sometimes I'm worried I'm on the wrong path. No, it was just saying.
It was just very much like, I feel the same way.
Right.
and I was like, and at that point I was like, I feel like I tried.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe this person isn't ready for that. But and to bring it back to this email, something that is, I think men have to deal with a lot, is that women always feel they're ready.
Yeah. I've never not felt like I was ready.
Right. And you're like this person, this guy who wrote in, it's a pretty thoughtful email of like, I tried, I want to be intimate, I tried to kiss, we had a different, I like this email.
This guy's doing all the right things, I think, to try to, because he says he like really likes her and wants it to work.
And there's a real issue here.
Yeah.
And then he brings it to her and she's like, I was just faking it to get here.
Well, she said it was going along with it.
I was going along with it.
Yeah.
And this is just who I am.
Right.
Let's move in. You know, and you go, well, you're not ready for that. I know she thinks she's ready for that.
Right. Well, yeah, and that's the other question. Like, is she giving you any more like context about why she feels that way, or why she thinks she's not that sexual? Is she open to like kind of meeting you halfway or seeing if she could get there? It doesn't sound like those conversations are really happening. It sounds like she's like, and even like the sex thing and the cuddling thing are almost like two different things to me.
Right.
And to me, the cuddling intimacy thing is almost like a bigger deal to me.
I guess there's someone out there that probably sees eye to eye with her. And I would say to that person, that's okay.
I think that's right. I think there's nothing wrong with if that's how you feel about sex and intimacy. If you don't like it and you don't want to, and you don't enjoy it and you're not interested in it, that doesn't make you a bad person. That's a preference.
Right. But and there's a puzzle piece out there for you.
Sure.
So I would say these are two pieces on the puzzle board that are not made for one another.
Yeah, and
I think they have to be
right.
okay with that's okay.
And I can understand why he's like, and he's writing to us, so I think he probably has this fear too of like, I don't want to be this because this monster. Because at the brunch table,
womanizing monster.
I mean, at the brunch table, I can imagine this story does go like, he broke up with me because I wouldn't sleep with him enough.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you, and that wouldn't be necessary. That actually wouldn't be incorrect.
Not incorrect.
But it wouldn't sound.
It's all based on how that's his fear too.
Right.
We don't know if she's going to do that.
It wouldn't sound amazing if I had a friend who was like, well, he said I didn't have sex with him enough, so he's gone. Like that would sound. It
would be weird to look at your friend and go, well, what's enough? What's too much? Most friends just go, I trust that me and my friends are the same.
Right.
When it's, there's going to be no backlash.
But I think with the nuances of this story of like someone who values sexual intimacy, being with someone who doesn't is like, that's a lifelong thing.
Right.
I think that's a big,
and I think it's not a weird thing to value. Like, not at all. You're okay to do that. Yeah. It is. Reading this, I was just like, man, she's like, let's move in.
Yeah, because it's working for her.
Right.
This is like a guy. This is like the other version of like a situationship thing, almost, where in the situation of the guy, often not always the guy, has everything. He's got everything that he wants.
Works for me, yeah.
Right. And that's her feeling here.
Right.
But what would we say about that? That's like an unfair dynamic. So is this.
That's right. Well, good luck to this guy. Let's do an awkward encounter. You ready?
Let's
do it. We love your awkward encounters, so keep sending them in uup@betches.com.
We've got an update.
An update from the July 10th, 2019. Okay? So way back when, it's called, Is It Ever Okay to Question the Sexuality of the Person You're Dating? Okay. This is way back. So let's start the email. You ready? Huge fan of the podcast, All Things Betches, and the J-Train universe. I've been an avid listener since the show started in 2017. I'm now a benefit subscriber and a member of Feather Nation. Thank you. It feels like I've been along for the ride with you guys, and it's pretty amazing to think about how far we have come, myself included. I love this. Yes.
All three of us.
Our whole family. In 2019, I wrote in about an awkward sexual encounter less than 12 hours after it occurred. And sure enough, it was aired 2 weeks later on the July 10th, 2019 episode. I've included my original email so we can all reminisce together about this pivotal moment in my life.
It's 5 years ago. It's crazy.
That's pre-pandemic.
5 years.
We're going to hear it?
Let's hear it.
Hi, J&J. This happened to me literally last night, this morning, and I feel compelled to share with you guys and fellow betches as a warning. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Sound that alarm. So yesterday was a major annual parade in my city. Everyone day drinks for it, goes out to bars afterwards. After many hours of drinking and a few too many vodka sodas, I met a guy in a bar, and we hit it off. My memory of the entire night is fuzzy at best, but We went home together. I woke up the next morning needing to pee and get some water. As I was peeing, I realized I had gotten my period the day before, but had no memory of taking my tampon out. I reached down to feel for the string, but couldn't find it. Terror began to set in. Upon further investigation, I found the tampon lodged deep in my vagina.
Deep in my vagina.
Deep in the vagina. Hello, 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 hello. There's a tampon in there.
Some great improv.
Is it good?
Yeah, I like it. I feel like I'm in the Grand Canyon with
Right?
the tampon.
Hello, hello, hello. Have you seen any tampons in there? I knew that
This
we
is
had...
like the Magic School Bus Anatomy Edition.
Is that you right?
Yeah.
Let's shrink on down with
Miss Frizzle.
Miss the Frizz and getting in there. We gotta find that tampon. Let's go, kids. Let's go through the vagina. I knew that we hadn't had sex, but he had fingered me a lot.
A lot of fingers have been there.
Wow. Apparently, in the process, he had shoved my tampon so far up that I couldn't get it out. Ooh.
But interesting that he didn't notice.
We got some Colombian miners down there.
He thought your
He didn't notice, yeah.
thought your vagina was especially cottony that day.
Ooh, this vagina is really nice on my fingers. Apparently, in the process, he had shoved my tampon so far up that I couldn't get out. This is literally the type of horror story you hear about in middle school sex ed. You do?
Well, as girls, we've heard a few of these stories.
I got into bed with him and felt like I needed to tell him in case I died of sepsis on the spot. He was a great sport. Clearly had not felt the tampon at any point in the night and felt badly about it, but we were able to joke about it. Great.
So here's her email now. Well, it's time for an update on that story. Tampon guy and I are getting married.
Wow, this guy she met. Where did they meet? At like a festival?
At a bar. No, at a parade where they get drunk, and then
like that? Yeah.
she went home with him.
Wow. Took
Everyone's
5 years
getting
to
married, but me.
Took 5 years to propose, huh?
It took him a while. Well, 5 years. She did write us the morning after they met.
Right.
So 5 years. It kind of makes some sense.
How old were they? I don't remember.
I think she wrote it when she was 12.
Okay.
After I emailed you guys, I texted him. I didn't know his name and had assumed it would be a one-night thing, given how mortified I was. But I felt I owed him an update because he had at one point offered to help get it out, a gentleman. And I didn't want him to go the rest.
Would you offer?
Of course.
Would you know what to do?
No. I need some direction.
Okay.
Direct me to the vagina.
Where is it? Tell me where the clitoris is while I'm down there.
You got a map? I didn't want him to go the rest of his life questioning whether or not he'd accidentally cause me to contract toxic shock syndrome and die. By the time the podcast aired, we'd been on a handful of dates. I sent it to him, and he thought it was hilarious. A few weeks later, you guys announced the first You Up tour. He bought us VIP tickets.
Baller.
Look at this guy. So we got to meet you both before the show, which was amazing. We're even on the Betches Instagram.
Ooh.
Here we are.
Wow.
Look at this.
Love
This is a
it.
picture of us. I found some 5-year-old texts with my best friend joking about using the episode in my vows or her speech at our hypothetical future wedding. Now that the wedding is coming true, I can see her speech now. May your love be as resilient and steadfast as the tampon he shoved up your vagina. Cheers.
Okay. There's an our story
Grandma's
page.
gonna love that. Or maybe we'll just let in sickness and in health cover tampon-related medical emergencies and leave it at that. I love this. Again, pretty amazing how far we've come since then. Jared has a hilarious Netflix special. Jordana sold Betches like the HBIC she is, and I graduated to a Diva Cup.
Love it. Is it a Deva Cup or a Diva Cup?
Oh, I always thought it was a Diva Cup.
It's Deva,
Diva?
right? Diva? I didn't know that.
Little belittling.
Diva Cup.
Why is it got to be like so
Yeah.
womanly? I guess men products do that too.
Where they try to be manly?
I don't know. Truly some remarkable success across the board. All the best. Tampon stuck to love struck.
Love it.
This is...
Best way to find love is to email us.
I have to say, it does connect to our first emailer.
Okay.
She's has this like weird, intimate, vulnerable moment
Right.
the tampon shoved up her vagina. Can you help me?
Probably a little scared.
Doesn't even know his name. Texts him. They go on some dates. Hey, I wrote it into my favorite podcast.
Vulnerability.
Right. He hears her words about the night. He's like, wow, this is a real person with real issues and fun. Like,
and the vulnerability, like that, I mean, I would say to send someone something you wrote into them about a podcast is like a risky move. Some people might be upset with that.
I think this is funny.
Yeah.
There's nothing more vulnerable than here's a joke.
Totally.
And she wrote it, as we heard, with tongue in cheek, and it was funny and fun. And
then he bought the VIP tickets.
And now they're at the show. We take the picture. Now getting married.
Yes.
I'm just saying, it kind of relates.
Congrats, guys.
Congrats.
Congrats to us. For being part of this.
Now find me someone. Let's do another email.
Let's do it. J&J, longtime listener, your banter and advice has gotten me through so much, and now I have a question for you.
Bring it on.
When dating someone new, when do you disclose a history of serious mental illness? I've just started seeing a guy from the apps I'm excited about. I'm 29. He's 38.
Okay.
But this could apply to anyone I potentially date if he doesn't work out. I'm about 6 months into recovery after over a decade of anorexia. Physically, I'm doing a lot better, fully weight restored. My organs are on the mend. Mentally, I'm getting there, but it's still incredibly difficult, and things like eating out and drinking are really hard. So what say you? When do I disclose? In a previous relationship, I have never directly said anything. I alluded to being neurotic about food and constantly felt like I was hiding something. When he point blank asked me about 10 months in, I told him and we broke up soon after. Not because of that, we just weren't compatible. I really don't want to feel like I'm hiding a huge part of my life, but I don't want to scare anyone away either. Also, I'm on an estrogen patch for hormone replacement, TLDR. It's to try to fix it or at least mitigate my existing bone density issues. So I essentially wear a 2-inch oval sticker on my ass at all times. So my biggest fear is starting to get it on and him asking, what's that? Jared, as a guy, would you notice and or ask about an estrogen patch? Am I overthinking that part? Thanks for all you do. XOXO, patched up bitch. I feel like there's a theme today.
Huge theme.
Right?
I like the theme.
Yeah.
I like the email. This email is
it's an
great.
Important theme.
Important. I'm happy she's on the mend and getting the help she needs.
Yes.
We are obviously not professionals. This seems like a question that could be posed to a therapist, and they would probably have the tools to help you through telling people about this and living in a world. I don't think you're ever post body issues, anorexia.
Right. It's like it's a lifelong thing.
I would assume.
Yes.
But that's
to an extent.
To an extent, like something you're just living with.
But I do think that, I mean, like, again, I of course, I would assume that she has a therapist, and if she doesn't, you should definitely have one as part of this treatment. I would imagine that's a big part of the treatment for anorexia. But in terms of what I think that our advice still holds true that we've been giving to everyone else on this episode.
Right.
About the vulnerability of disclosing, something that feels that's a serious part of your past and a serious part of your present to someone, and figuring out how to do that, and also like being able to do that as part of the dating experience.
Right. I would. It's interesting because this is serious. This isn't just like,
Of course.
I like to cry during movies. This is like a serious. Everyone
there's
has
a tampon very deep inside my body. Right. This is more serious than that.
This is and I would understand it. Here's the fear, and she already went through this with the last guy, where she revealed these things, and then they broke up, and she's already
she's saying she didn't really reveal these things. He asked her 10 months in.
Oh, he asked her, and when he point blank asked me 10 months in, we broke up soon after. Not because of that, we just weren't compatible. So it sounds like she can differentiate, which is good. I think that's like a big step. The fact that they broke up after he asked, and she's still going, it wasn't because of that.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
I think that, because I think probably the hardest part about being vulnerable with someone is understanding that it could still end.
Yes.
And
having nothing to do with that, or even, I mean, it could end having to do with that, and that just means that person's not right for you.
Right. But I guess like my pushback is like, I don't think it's ever one thing that something ends.
Okay.
So like the idea that like I told him about my anorexia in the past and what I've gone through, and then maybe like 5 months later, part of her still going through that is part of the reason that like they can't get more intimate or more together. Like it wouldn't just be that. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
it's more nuanced than black and white.
Right. It's not a one for one.
It's not a red flag deal breaker situation where we, you know.
Right. This podcast is probably a bad
yes.
place for us to say it's more. It's never just one thing because we play a game red flag deal breaker. But I think like it's. I don't think I would ever. Why'd you break up? Well, she said she had anorexia. Like that would never. I've never heard that from anyone.
I don't think
I've never felt that. Like there's never been a one word explanation for a breakup of mine.
Right.
You know, so this is me telling her to be vulnerable because that won't be what scares people away.
Yes.
You know, you will scare them away, not the
I mean,
one thing.
To me, I think, and I've talked about this as it relates to any other problem that someone is dealing with. They're in debt. They, you know, have a weird relationship with their family. They have, you know, they're recovering alcoholic, whatever it is. I think it's so much less about what the issue is and more about you feeling like you have a handle on it and you've processed it on your own.
What are you doing?
Right. And what you're doing to mitigate the issue, I think is much more important than any issue because everyone has something, right? Obviously, this is like a serious thing, but everyone has something that they are working on or dealing with that isn't ideal, whether it's them or someone they know or their family member or something that tangentially could affect you. So to me, it's less about, okay, that she's suffered from anorexia or she's recovering from anorexia currently. It's more like if someone packaged that to me as like, this is what has happened to me in my past. This is how it affects me now. If you see me, you know, I'm still very anxious around meals or around drinking. And so I want to explain why that is to you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that.
And if you can't do that, maybe you're not ready to date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
You're bringing up a great point.
You have to be able to like feel confident in what you're in explaining what you're going to and have a sense of like where to place it in your own life before I think you can date someone and bring them into that also.
To compare it to a way less serious thing. I mentioned this in my speech to my brother at his wedding, the best man speech. I said like, you know, when you do something weird, my brother's a coach in the NFL. I'm a comedian. You know, like we do weird things. And when you say to someone that you want to do a weird thing, they either say, how could you do that? Or, you know, there's like two routes. There's like, why would you do that? Or like, what are you doing to get there? Like, oh, you know what I mean? And the what are you doing to get there people are like the fun people to talk to. Like they're the positive people. Like they're the people that you feel like are cheering for you because there's actual interest. Sometimes you're doing what? You're going to be a comedian? What do you think you're funny? Tell me a joke. Those are people that are not there to help you.
Right.
That are not there for
Haters.
you. Haters. Pieces of shit. Look at me now. Going to Cannes.
Exactly. Better than you.
Eating radishes in France. So like, you know, this woman, she's going to have to come out with it at some point.
Yeah.
It's either going to be what do you, I would hope,
this is a good
what do
example,
you do?
Because, you know, you were just talking about how you've had issues in the past with women who are not being vulnerable or not really being like intimate emotionally early enough in your mind. So in your mind, like if someone had this issue, when do you feel like you would want them to bring it up to you?
There's no too soon to me.
First date?
If it went that way, if we got that
right,
that in the week, you know,
well, it's kind of like the more comfortable someone is with what they've gone through, the earlier they're comfortable bringing it up to you.
Right.
So I think that shows that
it goes both ways, right? And if this did come up, I would be like, well, what? You know, I'd be like, you know, first of all, I would have questions like, she said she was in treatment. What was treatment like? Like I would have those questions, and if like I would be afraid of like. I guess, like, hypothetically, I'd be afraid of triggering a negative feeling from the other person.
But you could say that.
I would, but if I was, but when I'm in that, if I was having that conversation on a first date, which would feel extreme, but could happen, I would feel like I know them enough already that I know that I'm not triggering them. Mm-hmm. So if we're getting to that conversation so quickly, I'd be like, I would, kind of like dance it a little bit because I would have questions.
It's almost like this could come up on a very good first date. It shouldn't come up on a date where you both have a drink and then leave. Right. I think that that's kind of about your judgment about understanding the situation, how long you're getting. Like, does this person seem like someone that you're having like a true connection with?
Mm-hmm. Like, well, it goes to her last question, which is a little bit easier to deal with. She has a estrogen patch.
Right.
And she's like, how would I would hope that if I'm naked with someone enough to see their estrogen patch on their ass.
Right.
I wouldn't be like, what's that? Ew. I mean, I probably wouldn't say anything.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, they got a Band-Aid on. Like, I wouldn't even think twice. Mm-hmm. Like, we're already intimate. We're already in each other's grasp, so to speak. So, like, I really wouldn't care. Like, we're
you wouldn't even mention it, yeah.
It wouldn't be, and if they were like, oh, that's my estrogen bed, I take it because of this and this and that, I'd be like, all right, are you okay? Like, does it come off?
Right, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't mean nothing. Like, so, like, again, I think.
But I also think she should tell them before she sleeps with them, though.
Right.
Not like to warn them, just because like I think that she'll feel more like a more intimate connection with someone before she sleeps with them. And that might make her more attached to this person that in her mind she wants to feel like she can trust with this story about her past.
Absolutely. And I think this is also growing up and maturing. Like, you realize she's thinking of this hypothetically, which is way scarier.
Right.
The reality is there's a PEMDAS to everything. There's a order of operations. So you're not going to talk about your estrogen Band-Aid, with someone that you just met. Hi, nice to meet you. There's a estrogen thing on my ass. Like, that's not how it goes. It starts with, we had a really good time and I trust this person enough to go back to their apartment and now we're naked together and that little thing. Like, it should feel normal. And if it doesn't, maybe you've skipped over part of the order of operations, like.
Right. And I think from this email, I am getting a little bit of a sense that maybe she needs a little bit more work and just wrapping her head around like her confidence in being okay with this being a part of her past. Yeah. Because I think that's when people hide things, is when they're kind of like, and she said it took her, it was 10 months in and the guy had to ask her. Like, I do think 10 months in with someone, if you haven't told them about this, which sounds like a major thing that has happened to her and that she's currently dealing with.
It is literally you.
Right. To me, it's showing that she hasn't fully like come to terms with how to place it in her life. And that's okay. I think that's a journey. I'm not like saying like that's wrong, but I think that if you've made it 10 months with someone without saying that, you don't feel that comfortable.
I could when she says it didn't end because of that. Well, I'm sorry to say it did. It ended because you weren't able to get intimate.
Right, to get to that level.
It took that long.
Right, I don't think it ended because he found out that you have a past of dealing with anorexia. I think it probably ended because
the communication wasn't great.
Because it wasn't that intimate of a relationship because he didn't really know who you were. Yeah.
It's, again, the theme. It feels counterintuitive. It's hard. This is all easier said than done. I have things that I wouldn't reveal to someone, and then you do, and you go, oh, wow, I feel like I know this. That's a relief, Yeah. And I do feel like I know them more.
Exactly.
Just for having said it.
And I think people don't think of this, but like it can make you, I think the fear is you tell someone and then they want to get away from you. And I do think if you tell someone in a way that is truly like vulnerable, it brings them closer to you. Not further away.
Natural and not, this is kind of, there's a warning of love bombing. Like just telling someone to tell someone.
No, it has to feel like feel right because you're in this intimate situation. And again, I just bring it back to what I was saying in the beginning. I think it could be anything. I think anything that anyone's dealing with, it's so much less about the thing that they're bringing to the table and so much more about how they're dealing with it. Right. That to me is so much more important. Because
who, what, where, when, why.
Right. Who have you dated or yourself doesn't have something that they feel is not the most shiny part of themselves.
Right. Let's play some games.
Let's do it.
UUP at Betches.com. Red flag deal breaker. Okay, I love this one. Hello. My fiance is a huge fan of your podcast and listens all the time. However, as my fiance/girlfriend of 5 years, she is neither single nor early in a relationship. Is it a red flag or deal breaker that she listens to podcasts centered around advice for single people all the time? Sincerely, Guy from Buffalo who doesn't hate Jared.
This is a true listener of the show. Yeah.
Okay. It's getting meta. It's getting like...
I mean, how does he know
the walls are speaking to us.
How does he know about that reference if he doesn't listen to the show?
The Buffalo one?
Yeah.
He listens.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
Forced
He listens
to listen.
too.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is how someone... I get it. Listen, if I'm this guy, we've said people in relationships listen to this podcast. Like,
Of course.
the idea that
People married with kids listen to this podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this is hatery. Even though he says he doesn't hate me. This is a hatery email.
Joke's on him. He wrote into our show.
That's right. Thank you, sir. No, I like it, but it is kind of the version of like, tell me a joke, funny guy.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you got a dating podcast? What do you know about dating? Like,
You think?
there's different reasons for listening to different podcasts. Like, I can understand that for someone who's not, the idea that this is only for early in relationship people.
Not at all. I mean,
Not at all.
I am obviously not single. I love this podcast. Yeah. I love all these topics. That's why I continue to host it.
Right.
I think relationships and dating and that kind of stuff is a passion subject for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And we talk about stuff in marriages, dating, all of the relationship stuff that goes into it. Like, so I don't know. To me,
you're the red flag.
Yeah. To me, this is organizational for him. I can tell the type of person he is.
Right.
That's a dating podcast. So dating people
You're
listen
not
to
dating.
that.
Right. Yeah.
How about this is a funny show?
Exactly.
That happens to talk about dating a relationship.
You don't need to be getting tips in order to enjoy the show.
What the fuck do we know?
Yeah. I listen to true crime. I don't know what this says about me. Murderer, yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. Listen, they're getting married. Congratulations. I would say listen
Green
together.
flag.
You guys can start talking.
Yeah, about
getting
these
the weeds
topics.
about your own stuff.
Yeah, red flag or deal breaker.
I like it. But listen, I classically love Buffalo.
He doesn't hate you.
Thank you.
He didn't say he likes you, but he said he doesn't hate you. Yeah.
Listen, not surprised that an email coming from the most self-conscious city in America would center around this.
Send a self-conscious email?
Self-conscious email. All right.
Okay. Let's do another one. Hey, J&J, Feather, very specific and offbeat red flag or deal breaker for you. He works a day job from home and bartends on Friday and Saturday night. After 2 great months of dating, you get to spend your first fun Friday night together with dinner, a friend's birthday party nearby, and finally a chance for a first sleepover. Ooh. At 9:30 p.m., after inviting him to your place, which is conveniently nearby, he decides...
2 months. Yeah. First sleepover.
Well, he's a bartender.
Sure.
He works Fridays and Saturdays.
Okay.
You could do it during the week, though.
Yeah, something's
not off.
Something's fishy.
Okay. Okay, 9:30 p.m. after inviting him to your place, which is conveniently nearby, he decides he'd rather go home and spend time with his cat. Red flag or deal breaker? Seriously, curiously in competition with a cat.
Is the cat a wife and kids?
You think so?
It makes no sense.
Maybe he's just not that into her.
He's dating other people. Yeah.
You always say like that they're less likely to be a monster.
This
guy monster?
I don't know if he's a monster. When you bartend Friday and Saturday night, there is like a little bit of like you're on doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're on stage, everyone's looking at you. Like
right.
He's
not as excited about his first free Friday night as she is.
Right. He likes the limelight, so to speak. Like I know a bunch of people who bartend. I have friends who have bars. They do talk about being behind the bars a little bit. Like
I used to bartend.
Did you feel the attention, the glow? Yeah. Right.
Great job.
Hey, bartender, what do you need? You got a lot of power.
Crowded bar.
Hey, waving credit cards.
There's always a flirty person there.
Right. Yeah. You're in social spaces. So this doesn't connect. 2 months, two great months of dating, 7 at one sleepover.
That's weird.
It's off.
Not even during the week? It doesn't work 7 nights a week.
Right. And hey, I'm going to go home to the cat on the one night you have together.
He's a cat?
Cat? A lot of issues here. This is a deal breaker to me. I think there's something we don't know.
It's a deal breaker.
That's my point.
Even if there wasn't something that we didn't know, I think that I would be turned off by someone wanting to leave and go hang out with their cat on a night they have off when they don't have that. To me, that would be a sign that they'd rather be alone than hang out with me.
Right. Right. And where does it go from here?
Right.
You know, like if this is night 1, it's not going to get better.
Yeah. He's not that into you. Sorry.
Something's off.
Okay.
Let's do one more.
Let's
You
do
ready?
it. You ready?
J&J. I have a red flag deal breaker situation I'm curious your take on. I would have sent the screenshot, but I've been unmatched.
Unmatched.
A guy from Hinge and I were setting up a date. Just for background, it was within the first few messages, as he's telling me he's got a sushi spot in mind, and asking if I have any allergies. What is he, a waiter? Any allergies at the table?
I guess he thinks he's being like
accommodating.
Yeah.
That's something I don't remember until like recently.
Some people are gluten free.
I know.
Well, they'll usually find something at the restaurant.
The wait staff never used to like. I feel like every restaurant now. Any allergies going on here?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, we ordered.
People are more annoying now than they used to.
Yeah, that's fair. He throws asking if any allergies. He throws in. I'm curious what you're looking for in a partner. I'm looking for someone loving, warm, and playful that I can. This sounds so bizarre.
It's just funny, like these adjectives, just because imagine, like, what's the alternative? I'm looking for someone cold, hates fun,
unloving,
right?
That I can make all of life's big decisions with. Like, here's the other thing. If you're talking about a date, like, that's where you figure out if these feelings are prompted by them.
Right.
Like, him getting ahead of it already, in my mind, this is someone with ulterior motives.
What do you think the motive is?
I'm not sure, but anytime someone's trying to get you talking about what you're looking for on the app before meeting, that's someone with a goal that they're not revealing.
But he says he's trying to do what seemingly everyone would want to do on the app.
Right, which is even weirder.
Right.
I found this message very off-putting for a few reasons. Yeah, we're with you. One, it was out of left field after asking if I had any allergies. And the question, and the first question he'd asked me, aside from if I like sushi. So she's running the show, and then he's like, "Before we get moving here,
what
you
are
loving?"
You looking for? Right.
Second, that message tells me nothing. I think most people want a partner who's loving, warm, that they can make life decisions with. Yeah, we agree. Well, I understand making sure a person is looking for the same thing as you in dating, like relationships versus casual. This felt like a question that was putting the cart before the horse. We hadn't met yet. To me, this feels like a conversation that should be had in person with someone you know you're at least sort of interested in. I don't even think this is a conversation to even have. Like, I think this is...
Yeah.
I don't feel that you're very warm, and I'm turned off by that. That could happen.
Right.
Are you warm? What?
Everyone's going to say they're warm.
Right. I told him that I was looking for something similar, but that the convo felt too early since we hadn't met yet, but that I'd be open to the convo down the line if we vibed. And he sent me some message that I could not look at because he then unmatched me. Okay. So, red flag or deal breaker in the middle of setting up a date with a guy you haven't met. The first question he asked you was what you're looking for in a partner. I guess for him, my response was a deal breaker. Or maybe we just didn't vibe. A betch who needs her cart after the horse.
After he already wrote down her sushi allergy preferences? Gonna throw the whole thing out?
I told him I like brown rice.
I have a theory.
Okay.
About why he might be doing this.
Okay. This guy's an asshole, by the way.
Yeah, that's great because that's a totally normal response.
Piece of shit because he's trying. Go ahead.
But also great that he sent it to her because she didn't have to waste a night on a date with him.
You didn't have to eat the unagi.
Is it? Part of me is thinking this guy is like super into relationships, keeps getting dumped or put in the friend zone.
Okay.
And he keeps getting the response of, I don't know if I'm looking for a relationship or something, as like a response that people just say, or, you know, I'm not looking for anything serious right now. So he thinks he's getting ahead of it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's definitely it, but that crossed my mind as an option.
Totally an option.
Because usually when people try to get ahead of things, it's because they've they've had people they've had experiences with that they felt like they were wasting their time by not clarifying that.
He just like, when someone sings a song and it sounds like another song you've heard?
Okay, yeah.
This guy's song sounds a lot like someone who's like crypto alpha bro.
Okay. Really?
It's very like, I'm looking for a traditional relationship to me. Like, it sounds very male internet commenter.
Okay.
Because what he's doing, and the thing that angers me the most, is when someone uses basically language to elevate themselves that they could bring to court. Just the same as the brunch table.
Okay.
He won't have sex. I won't have sex with him. That's why he dumped me. This guy can go, well, if you don't agree that you right away that you don't want a warm, loving relationship, I guess you're just not for me. And I think he's using that to get to other answers he wants. What
do you think he wants?
I don't even know.
I don't understand what the purpose
to me, it's a power thing.
is.
I actually think it's a power thing. It's a weird wielding of agree to these terms that I brought. Like, he's trying to sound interesting.
What are the terms, though?
This is him trying to sound interesting and thoughtful, and he's just imitating words he's heard. So when someone agrees to it, he gets to be fucking ego, puff chest.
What's he gonna do with that agreement, though?
I think he's fucked up. I think this this is, to me, that's why it rings very like. I've heard this internet commenter before. Do you know what I mean?
Kinda, yeah.
Like, I'm trying to, like, it's almost like.
It's like posturing?
A little bit. Like, I brought this up the last episode, but this idea of here's a comment that on this video where I like showed the girl taking the picture, and then like, you're going to take one example of someone staging a photo as putting effort into lying, maybe. At least with Dwight, you know what you're getting. That woman is manufacturing an image to make you believe. Quit simping, dude.
What is simping?
Like, basically, like kissing ass to women, like kissing ass to someone you like.
Is this like the male version of was it like the pick me girl?
Pick me girl, right? These two comments, but to me, like, he's singing the same tune as that guy. When you go, I'm looking for, like, you're living in the land of something that no one would disagree with, so that you're kind of elevated somehow.
You've got a psychological disorder.
Totally. And I don't know. Sometimes, like, it just hits you and you go, this tastes bad.
Yeah.
And I just don't, like, I would like to meet that guy.
This guy.
Right.
If you're
this
listening.
Guy. If you're listening,
come on the show.
We can't find him. The unmatch happened. But, like, I would like to question him on a podcast like this.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here, I'm not saying I'm good. I'm not saying I'm
very
bad.
Insecure.
Right. But I'm insecure too. So, like, I again, from the beginning of this podcast, I'm on the spectrum from family man to womanizing monster.
I didn't say you were either of those.
I'm not either. But I feel very normal.
Right.
And I talk to a lot of men who are normal like me. And this brand of dude on the internet mostly, but now we're seeing him in the apps of like, well, I'm looking for someone who's warm and likes good-natured banter. Right. You're like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, because I don't meet him. So, but I'm not on the apps as a woman talking to men. So
right.
It's hard for me to see, we don't, that's
where is this guy?
Right. Where is he? What's his perspective? Would he come on here and read these emails and be like,
how would he answer them?
Right. I kind of am interested.
Yeah.
But.
Well, if we can find one online, if this sounds like you or someone you know, uup@betches.com, and we'd love to have a little friendly debate.
Yeah, we solved dating again. Thank you guys for listening. Keep telling your friends. If you're this far into the show, you like it.
You must.
Tell a friend.
All right.
Even if you're in Buffalo.
I'll still take the listen.
Boom.
Bye. The U Up Podcast is produced by Candace Maniga and Shannon Sassone. Editing by Jorge Morales-Pico and Shannon Sassone. Social media by Candace Maniga. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.